Man, right before we turned on these microphones, we were just talking about it, Zach. That is maybe the most fun we have ever had at any singular show. What an event Fierce Fighting Championship 35 turned out to be. And James Prescott, Harrison Chandler turned it into a dogfight early on, going the full 9 minutes.
Harrison Chandler, late addition to the card, really fun. Just said, "Hey, I really want to fight at home," and I said, "Man, Jimmy he's a tough matchup, and he's begging me to get on a card before his baby comes." And I said, it's not an easy fight, but I know somebody who will fight you on this short of notice, and it was Jimmy. And Harrison, about 10, 15 minutes later, said, "Let's do it." And man, just a grinder fight between two really, really tough guys. Good exchanges on the feet, tough grappling, good fight.
9 years removed from his last fight, and Zach Spreitzer comes away with the win over Michael Lizalde. Unfortunate for Michael Lizalde back in his backyard, but Zach Spreitzer looked very, very good. He told us he had leveled up. He certainly did.
Yeah, he did a really good job after the layoff. Obviously, long layoff, a lot older, a lot wiser. But, man, I thought his composure was really good. He was his positional awareness was the difference maker. But I have to say this. I thought Michael Lizalde improved leaps and bounds from his last performance. He looked really good. Didn't get stuck in some of the positions that have kind of cost him. Stayed a little bit more tight and technical defensively, not as wild and brawly, which I think was good for him. Shout out to Michael Lizalde for leveling up, but Zach Spreitzer and we're already working on Zach's next matchup.
How about Santiago Izukar comes out with with a submission victory following a split decision win a year and a half ago?
Yeah, I mean, what interesting, right, is really slow start striking, and then once we got going, then Vince had the deep guillotine, and then eventually it was the guillotine that Santi won with. Good for Santi. When we were just talking about it, when the hometown guy wins, the vibe there starts picking up a little bit, and Santi kind of kicked that off for the Idaho Falls guys, and I think both of them showed some improvements and have things to grow and build on.
5 Idaho fighters coming away with wins tonight. The most successful the Idaho State has been at Fierce Fighting Championship when we come up here to the Mountain America Center. A great night for them, and hopefully a great night for the fans as well. How about Nikola Privil coming away with the win over Marconis Alves? Marconis came and brought the fight to Privil, but Privil just too good.
Nikola, he's a beast, dude. That kid's a savage. For a basketball player turned fighter, he's a savage. He has that killer instinct in him. Marconius in good spirits after. Love to see, kind of the warrior mentality. And Nikola, he's a problem at 170. All welterweights need to be on alert.
Also, just one of the nicest guys. Had the chance to talk to him a couple times throughout the week. Really, really happy for him. This card was one of the best of all time, and it really started to kick off around this point in the show. Ole Michov comes away with a win, just a step ahead of Tristan McDonald, and really, more than anything, just showed why he is one of the hottest new prospects out of Syndicate MMA.
I mean, here's the reality is nobody wanted to fight either of these guys, right? And it's a good thing for both of them. And why I say that was, Ole was tested from the standpoint of, he couldn't rely on his grappling against Tristan. He never really tried. He mostly did his damage and did his work on the feet, showed some phenomenal striking, timing, and precision. The only downside for Ole is I don't know many other amateurs that are going to fight him. I think he's got to make his pro debut here soon because I don't know who's going to fight him. He looks pro ready, showed it every bit of it, and the reality is with Tristan McDonald after a long layoff, and the long layoff was nothing other than nobody would fight him at 1-0. Yeah. And now he's 1-on-1 on paper. I would love to see, who says, now maybe a couple more hands raised and say, I'm willing to take on that challenge. Hopefully that means a more active Tristan McDonald, which I think will be a good thing for him. Oleg, I don't know who I'm going to have to find to try and fight him, or good luck to any other matchmaker.
What did you make of the December 13th call out in the cage?
I did not hear that.
So I asked him, I said, what is the future hold for you? And he said, I heard you have an event December 13th. I'd like to fight on that card. So you got a tall task in front of you, my man.
Well, nobody could fight. I mean, we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, good luck, but good luck finding somebody. I mean, I don't know, man. The kid's a stud, for sure.
One last thing I'll just say about him. The fastest hips I've ever seen. His defensive
goodness
was next level, something I've never seen at that speed. Okay, Preston Carlson, Isaac Allen, you were talking about it, one of the best fights of the night. Back and forth battle. It looked as though Isaac Allen was going to run away with it in terms of the striking. Preston Carlson turns the tides and comes away 3-0.
Well, it was really interesting, right? And then, I mean, they're going back. I mean, they're just beating the crap out of each other. Just an all-on slugfest. I'm like, this is not sustainable. But they weren't really slowing down either. And then obviously Preston lands the illegal knee on Isaac Allen, gets a point taken away. And then it kind of seemed like when that happens, you wonder how fast can they recover, things like that. Isaac recovered immediately, put his foot on the pedal, and was just all gas, no brakes, and almost got Preston out of there. Preston admitted in the post-fight interview that he got knocked out in the first round and got woken back up. And then Preston, with an onslaught at the end, Isaac Allen loses his mouthpiece, and unfortunately, kind of if you will, an amateur mistake. Was kind of trying to call time to let the ref know he didn't have his mouth guard. That's a verbal tap, and that's the fight.
And my apologies for anyone who was watching the broadcast. It wasn't the elbows. David and I thought that it was maybe he was protesting maybe an elbow landing, but that wasn't the case. Apparently it was a mouthpiece. Anyways, Jacob Baird, Tate Martin, similar to the rest of this card, for as long as the fight lasted, it was fun. Jacob Baird comes out on top. Tate Martin, obviously so many people in there for support for him, hoping he's all right.
It sounds like he's going to be all right. Got some oxygen in him. Damaged ribs for sure. Probably going to have to get an image to see if they're broken or some separated cartilage, which is obviously always really painful. What's going on there? Definitely some damage. Jacob with the nasty, violent knees to the body. But man, Tate got his own takedown and got his own, in the scrambles in the mix. In his own right. The thing is with amateur, and I say this all the time, I've said this about Michael Izaldi before, and not trying to compare fighters here, but it is so important to test yourself. Tate went through a couple opponent options, finally took Jacob Baird. Jacob Baird testing himself, going up a weight class. He's normally a bantamweight, going up to featherweight. Tate Martin did a really, I thought Jacob Baird was probably one of the most skilled guys he's ever fought. Sure. Didn't blink, and he has positives from that. He has positives from that he can build on, bounce back for. I'm sure he'll be back strong, better than ever. Jacob Baird, he's like talking about wanting to go back to Muay Thai. I want to see him more in MMA. Forget Muay Thai. If you've been in all those years wrestling, why in the world would you go back to Muay Thai? But to each their own, I guess, but I sure hope I see him in some small gloves again soon.
This was the fourth time Nasir Davis has fought for Fierce Fighting Championship. I'm running out of ways to talk about how special this guy is. One of the most spectacular fights I have ever seen in terms of the striking output, and one of the greatest finishes in Fierce Fighting Championship history.
The thing, I'll just say this about Nasir. Everybody's seen the highlights now. He has come, fought here 4 times, picked up a couple amateur titles. 3 spectacular highlights, his amateur fight of the year candidate in July. And he's a walking highlight reel. Enough about that. Everybody's seen that. Just how good of a young man that he is. He's so polite, so incredibly gracious to the Fierce staff, the commission, to myself, everybody involved, his coaches, is respectful. The kid's just special, and not just as a fighter, as a person. And usually when people are that talented, that young, that good, and everybody wants a piece of them, managers are lining up to try and sign him, promotions are trying, everything, their head gets a little big. This is a kid that's extremely grounded, grateful, humble, everything, and it's so special. And man, great sport after. Told Deshaun, I'll see you at the big show. I have no doubt about it. You're great. If you're ever in Vegas, please come train with us. Dude, he's he's such a good person. And I love Nasir. I can't wait to see him next. Sounds like he wants to fight in his hometown next, which is awesome. Tough Enough. So if you are in the Vegas area and you see him on a Tough Enough card, please go buy a ticket to support this kid. You probably will see me there too.
Chris Chu, Thomas Boyer. Coming down in weight class was Thomas Boyer. Coming up was Chris Chu, but able to squeeze his way to a third professional victory.
Chu smash. Like that dude. I mean, here's the thing. We didn't know. I didn't know what to expect with Thomas Boyer coming off the layoff. I've cornered against Thomas. I fought on same cards as Thomas. We've talked about it before. Boxer heavy. Decent grappler in his own right. But that time off, new weight class and stuff. I don't. Chris was activity matters in the sport. I mean, don't tell that to Zach Spritzer, but I think activity does matter in this sport a lot, and those reps matter. And Chris, that's April, August, September, November in 2024, and he's already asking me, can I fight in December? It's like
he was telling us at weigh-ins yesterday.
Yeah,
he hadn't even stepped on the scale yet.
Yeah, and it's like, hey, Chris, love it. Calm down. We'll see you in 2025. But don't make no mistake about it. We will see Chris Chu very, very soon.
Justin Horsley, Mark Coates, one of the most fun fights we have seen. The clocking shots on both sides. There were so many strikes landed, Zach, that could have finished the fight. Justin Horsley comes out on top.
Yeah, Justin Horsley, Mark Coates, my vote for fight of the night, absolutely. As the teammates get that honor back-to-back weekends for Fierce with Anthony Castro and then Justin Horsley. But man, Mark was the perfect dance partner for Justin the perfect dance partner for Mark. And that was just two vets that have been doing it a long time, showing their experience and grit. That was a high level match between two absolute studs. Mark doesn't love the decision for the stoppage. Pretty tough when somebody falls, face first, but woke up and was back with it. Refs are there to protect them. Fighters are too tough their own good sometimes. But Justin was, I thought Justin, he looked like he hasn't gone anywhere. Yeah. And the thing that I love the most about it is he's like, I told him, I said, if you wouldn't have kept pointing at him, maybe you would have got a finish sooner. And I didn't want to finish sooner. I was there to enjoy it. And he was embracing it, taking it all in and loved having Mark Coates on the show. His professionalism and was so fantastic to work with. Just the energy being around him and his corner, Derry Alderman, a talented bantamweight in his own right, was great. Justin, he's back. The Iron Horse is back.
Luis Cortez comes back and wins his first fight in nearly a decade, about 8 years to be more precise. And what a moment that was for him. He certainly said it felt good. We've had a couple of shows with Luis Cortez, and I think a lot of people were counting him out up to this point, but he comes out on top in the main event.
I've been telling everybody, Luis Cortez, something was different with him. And I don't know if it's his incredible fiance that he has in his corner now. Just things are just better for Luis Cortez. I don't know who the heck is calling our hotel room, but Luis Cortez, he looked different against Zeke, and he didn't get the win against Zeke when we saw him back in May. But was it May? The May card, right?
It was.
Or was it August?
August.
Okay, August. But he looked better, and you could just tell that something was different with Luis. And I told Luis, whatever you're doing, keep doing it because the wins will come again. I promise. Devontae Jones has been asking for Luis Cortez for quite some time. Lined up, worked out. Devontae did some good things in his own right, but once it went to the ground and Luis got it to the ground and he got in full mount, that is a giant human being to get off of you. I like Devontae Jones a lot. He's a good person. He's been great to work with as well. I have nothing but good things to say about Devontae Jones. We've seen Luis struggle now for a while. On a personal level, I was just really happy for him to have that moment, main event again in his hometown. And gosh, Idaho Falls, I hope they show up and show out for Luis Cortez in March when we return.
Cannot wait to be back here in Idaho Falls. I think the crowd is going to be coming in droves. One of the best nights in Fierce Fighting Championship history, no doubt about it. Zach, can't wait to close this out in December on the 13th, Masonic Temple. That is going to be a ton of fun. But for right now, John Jones and Stipe Miocic are about to make the walk, so we got to close this thing out.
Let's go. Let's go, Stipe.